In terms of the role of head of coaching for our supporters who perhaps don't know too much about it at the moment, just outline what the role is for you, Anthony.
Predominantly, it's doing exactly that. It's supporting our coaches and multidisciplinary team staff to support the development of the players within the club. And to me, what it means is it's giving people opportunities to learn and grow and develop themselves, whilst enabling and empowering the players to be the best players they can be for AFC Wimbledon.
That's good to hear. And in terms of yourself there, Will, as well, just in terms of your role and an expanding Football League club, how important is it to have a head of physical performance in this day and age as well?
Yeah, of course, very important. I would say it would be very important. But throughout the ages, it's just getting the players used to moving in the ways that can benefit them to hopefully, fingers crossed, make a career for them as athletes within, hopefully, our professional football club. So again, from the under-18s down to the under-16s, it's about preparing them for the tasks, the physical tasks of league football. And then down below, it's just getting them ready for each stage beyond that. So I think a number of the big clubs, a number of the top clubs have a plethora of staff up to 20. So it's just making sure that we give our boys the best opportunity they can from every perspective, whether that be technical with Rob, Jack and James, and whether it's physical with myself and Jen.
You work with a lot of the top players around. Why was AFC Wimbledon the right move for you next in terms of your career, in terms of what you wanted to do?
Well, I think getting back into day-to-day professional environment was key for me in terms of what I felt I could offer a club, but also what I felt I could also get in terms of my own personal and professional learning and development. And it felt like the right time. And everything that I'd done, forgive the quiz, but everything I'd done in terms of research showed that AFC Wimbledon were progressive, inclusive, showing empathy for support and development, not just of the players, but also of their staff. And you notice that by looking at previous staff who have gone on to other clubs and also been successful. There's a family and there's a feel in the club that makes people want to be there. And what I've said to Michael and the rest of the staff is sometimes we will lack resources and facilities and opportunities that other clubs may take for granted. But what we seem to do well, and what I really noticed from my first encounters with the club and throughout, is how resourceful people are, but also how caring, innovative, creative, and supportive people are. And I think if you're going to go and work somewhere, and that's where you're going to spend a large proportion of your working week, you have to feel comfortable, you have to feel like you're included, and you have to feel like you're doing something worthwhile.
How have you found it? Because, I mean, you've become a bit of a star about your role and so on. So how have you found the challenges of the role so far?
Yeah, obviously they're not expected, the sort of challenges we face. You don't expect to be given a pandemic in your initial first few months of working in any job, let alone a professional football club. But I think I'd agree with Anthony there in a lot of the alignments of both our personalities in terms of progressive, forward-thinking, innovative. And it's been exactly the same when dealing with this pandemic. We've taken everything we would have done on the pitch or in the gym or down at Tooting and Mitcham. We've taken that straight onto screens. So we've done that virtually over these sorts of methods, and we've just kept engaged. And fortunately, we've got a young, homegrown and hungry set of staff, I'll nip that in, that want to develop each other as well as the players, and not just from a player perspective, but also a human perspective as well. So we're fortunate enough to have that program in place and be able to grow on it even during these very strange times.
You've met the coaches, you've got to know them on and off the pitch. Are you encouraged by what you see, and you're sort of hopeful for the future when things return to some form of normality in terms of how the coaching structure is going to be going forward?
Are you speaking about the players in terms of the group or the coaches? Forgive me.
Your work in the coaching.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we've got some very talented coaches in the club. What they seem to have is a thirst for learning and development and and gaining more knowledge, which I think is something that all coaches in the modern world need to have. They've shown great creativity, as Will has just alluded to, in terms of this lockdown period, which has really enthused me, because I know there are other clubs around the country who have not had the same level of input from staff, and their motivation has diminished, whereas it seems that this situation has allowed our coaches to almost flourish under pressure. And if that's the way they're going to work, then I look forward to really doing what I can to keep challenging them, but also to support them to maximize their potential. And I think this pandemic has really shown how productive and, like I said, the heart that people have, not just for developing themselves, but for really supporting the players they work with.
How have you found the work in terms of getting them to work at home, the players, and are you hopeful in terms of moving forward now with the players when you get back onto the training pitch?
Yeah, I think, fortunately, the groups that we've been working with are very eager to learn and have missed being away from the training pitch as much as we have as coaches. And they know that if they hold up their physical end of the bargain, that they get to come back into pre-season training or whatever, mid-season training, whatever it may be, in good enough shape, then they know they're going to get back on the balls quicker. But they've done really well. They've got fantastic buy-in. They're a very smart group of boys who know that the coaches here are for their benefit and the programs given to them are for their benefit. So they're doing really well. They're doing really, really well. So fingers crossed we can have a good start, hit the ground running when we return.
If we just bring in Academy Manager Michael Hamilton here as well. Michael, you must be really pleased with in terms of the two recruits we've got added to the Academy staff now going forward. It's the two very good recruits you've got here.
You start with Anthony. You know, he's come in and, you know, he had so much experience and knowledge to our environment. And the biggest thing I can say to him is, or about him, is he's quite selfless. He's always about the other people. And, you know, he always wants to know how you're doing and how you're getting on with your personal life. And he makes a lot of time and effort to get to know the person. I'm a little bit shocked by his quiz results. And, yeah, I think I've got to look at myself maybe. And, yeah, maybe we've got to have another little meeting aside of this, but he's been terrific since he's come in. And Will is just a bundle of energy. And, you know, I'm not just saying it because they're both on the call, but anyone that knows our environment, we've had quite a lot of stable staff for a long period of time. And anyone that came in from the outside, it was going to be important that they are the right people. And in Will and Anthony, we've added two very valuable members of staff who have made a big impact in a very short amount of time.
Just to finish off with you both as well, Anthony and Will, in terms of course, we're still, you know, building up to that big day when we'll be stepping out at Plough Lane again. How excited are you both about that, and also tapping into the local youth that we've got there as well, adding to our area that we've got in terms of recruiting young players from? Starting with you, Anthony.
Well, I think just being in London and the catchment area that we're in breeds so much potential, and over a period of time, I would like to think that we are going to capture even more than we already have. And I always try to get away from the category status that we're category 3, because I think what we do, you know, is on par with everybody else. And what I want us to do, and what I'm really looking forward to, is that day when people don't say AFC Wimbledon in a different sentence to other clubs, and they view us as equally as we should be, because the talent that we have, the opportunities that we have, but also going into a new stadium, which I think will be a highlight for a lot of people, and it just shows potential to me. And what it shows is growth that should not be taken for granted. And like I said, over the period of time that I've been at the club, the players have had so much, I'm going to say, input, not just from the coaches, but from everybody associated with the club. And if that doesn't say to somebody, well, you know what, that most probably is the place that's going to nurture me to get some form of contract. And I'm not saying professional contract, it might be a grassroots contract. But if it encouraged them to love the game as much as we all do for a long period of time, then we'll have done a fantastic job. And I want people to think about that before they choose other clubs above us.
It's the development thing, like Wimbledon, like Anthony said there. It's about that growth. There's a lot of clubs that aim to get a new stadium and aim to build that new route, and don't get that done in 20 years, let alone the fact that we have come from combined counties in 2002 and managed to grow in the way we have and develop as a football club from those humble beginnings and get back to being the Wimbledon that we all know and love. So it's impressive, the drive and forward thinking and growth of this football club in a nutshell, really. And all that we really need now is the Premier League status and the FA Cup again. I think is the cherry on the cake. But no, it's a great club to be a part of and great people to work alongside.